All right. Welcome back to Twin Terror. I'm David.
And I'm Gary.
And today we're going to talk about...
We're going to talk about where Trump might flee to if things go sideways for him.
Now, this reading is going to be for entertainment purposes only. We hope you find it entertaining and insightful at the same time. Leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the video. We're going to just front load this so that we don't go stumbling around at the end. Gary does read leave a comment. It feeds the algorithm. Gary reads them. He responds to them. You can have a wonderful conversation with him. Okay, so we've done readings in the past with Trump fleeing to Russia, or Trump fleeing to North Korea, or Trump fleeing to Saudi Arabia. It's unlikely he's going to North Korea. North Korea doesn't want him. Yeah. It's unlikely he's going to Russia because Putin's got a lot of other things to worry about than this diaper-filled 6-year-old complaining about building towers in St. Petersburg or something like that. Saudi Arabia, they have a business dealings with Trump and LIV Golf and stuff like that. They may take him on. But Don Jr. recently took a trip to El Salvador. Almost like you can wonder if he's just sort of scouting out is this going to be a soft landing place for us if we need to leave the country. The other one was when Donald Trump was having his extremely insightful X interview with Elon Musk. He was insinuating Venezuela had a lower crime rate than the United States, and if Trump were to lose the election, maybe he and Elon should take a trip over to Venezuela and hang out there where it's safer. Trump has this way of saying the quiet part out loud, or confessing to folks. So I can imagine Elon would be kicking him under the table. It's like, dude, don't tell him that stuff. But for Trump, it's like, if he says the crime out loud, then to him it's not a crime. It's only a crime if it's a mystery and you get caught. If you admit to it, it's not a crime.
I mean, there's the whole discussion of his probation and flight risk, and and now he's telling Musk that if this election goes sideways, maybe we could go to Venezuela and have a steak. It's just like, oh, I'm sure there's an attorney typing that.
You just did that. Face palmed. Oh my God.
So, the one thing about Saudi Arabia, although they do have the golf tournament and Trump has a good relationship with the Saudis, Iran's really close by.
Yeah.
And, Trump might not want to be quite so close to Iran. So maybe getting with a good dictator in El Salvador or Venezuela might be a great alternative. I don't know.
You should always give yourself options. Maybe they'll get into a bidding war.
I would think the weather might be a little bit better in El Salvador or Venezuela than in Saudi Arabia, but I don't know that. I haven't been to any of those places.
There you go.
And because El Salvador and Venezuela have emptied all their jails and sent all their crazy people to the United States,
according to Trump with Elon Musk, unchallenged, factually unchallenged.
Only the good people are left, right?
Exactly.
So the president of El Salvador is Bukele. Who has dubbed himself the world's coolest dictator. Why wouldn't Trump want to go to El Salvador and hang out with the world's coolest dictator?
It's funny because MBS over in Saudi Arabia would probably, sort of think, that would have been a great title. But no, he's a crown prince. That's okay. He's royalty. But still, he's kind of like the gangster crown prince. The cool gangster crown prince type vibe. So you can see where Jared will go to Saudi Arabia. Don Jr. is going to go hang out in El Salvador. The divide and conquer.
Yeah, so we're going to throw cards. I'm going to throw on El Salvador to see if the election goes sideways and all the court cases start going really sideways for Trump. Is he going to start taking an extended vacation in El Salvador? And then Dave will take a look at Venezuela.
Maduro in Venezuela and see if Trump wants to go to Venezuela.
Yeah, another great dictator, right? So for entertainment purposes only.
He's actually a socialist, believe it or not. It's just he's a socialist that doesn't want to give up power. He cheated the last election. He doubly cheated this election.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him. So yeah, okay, let's see. Is Trump thinking of relocating to El Salvador and hanging out with the world's coolest dictator for entertainment purposes only? Okay, Trumpy. Everything goes sideways in November.
Don't talk about Trumpy.
You going down upside down, Zach?
Is it really though?
Oh, is it though? How come you don't read them upside down? Because I can't read upside down. I'm very simple. So the foundation reads the Empress. You know, there's a lot of El Salvador has a lot to offer, you know, as far as wealth and low crime and, you know, the world's coolest dictator. He and I see eye to eye. We just love each other.
Yes, it's a love affair.
It is. I wonder if about that. Underneath it is the Three of Swords, the heartbreak.
Apparently, Melania is heartbroken.
He's very heartbroken that he's leaving. Bye, Donald. Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. Yeah, this could be the election going sideways, court cases going sideways, my marriage is going sideways.
Or it could just be that maybe you shouldn't trust the world's coolest dictator.
Yeah, you know.
Just keep that in mind as you go through this.
Underneath it all is the Two of Cups.
Yep.
You know, making deals, making arrangements. So now there was comments. There was people in the comments section saying that you know, the two snakes. That's not the medical one. The medical one is a single snake. The dual snakes is more about commerce. And it's not necessarily a positive look at commerce. I forget what the damn thing's called, but I'm sure that people in the comments are already telling me what it's called. But underneath it all, you know, Trump might be making deals already on, you know, backup plans if this thing doesn't work out the way it is going to work out. Looking at El Salvador, certainly Don Jr.'s already gone there and is searching properties. You know, he's like, this is such a cool place. I'd like to buy a house here. Yeah. Talk about saying the silent part out loud. In the past, Trump is probably looking at his dwindling resources. You know, he had a pretty big nest egg of wealth, and it's all going away from him. He's only got a little bit at his feet, but he's losing so much in the court cases. His physical health might not be so good, and he's thinking, "Uh-oh, you know, I'm in trouble here with all the court cases and everything that come my way. I can see where a lot of my wealth may be going away." Because, you know, even his Truth Social, if he loses that election, that stock is going to zero in a big, big hurry. That could be the third sword here, is his loss of equity in Truth Social. Current situation is the Justice card. Go figure. I would have been disappointed if the Justice card didn't make an appearance in this. Yeah, so, you know, guess what? You've got a lot of court cases. You got a lot of Americans that really, really, really think that you should be on the other side of the bars. You know, look on the inside of the cell looking out. So that's got to be weighing on Trump's mind, because Merchan's cases, the sentencing is coming due in a month. This is going to hit home real soon. Overarching energy, Two of Swords. You have a decision to make, my friend. Venezuela or El Salvador.
Exactly. Or Saudi Arabia.
Or Saudi Arabia. Exactly. But we're not asking. Well, I guess we could ask about Saudi Arabia.
Sure. Well, it's a crossroad. Where do I go?
Yes. Which direction am I going to go? Am I going to go over water, or am I going to go over land? The lesson to be learned: the Page of Wands.
Saudi Arabia it is.
Yeah, he's out there in the desert. So the Page is kind of like a beginnings. It's a youthful card. It's also kind of like an ace in its own way. It's kind of the beginnings. The wands are about creativity, about messaging, bringing, look at, kind of, he's kind of this, the character's basically looking down the path. It's like, where am I going to go with this?
Yep.
And yeah, that's the lesson to be learned, is maybe you need to look further down the road.
It's exciting new starts. I'm going to start my new life. Yes. Where am I going to go? I'm going to start my new life.
Yes, maybe it's not golf. Maybe he's going to take up polo or something.
I will say they do have pyramids in Central America.
They do. They're probably not quite as sandy, but
right.
Let's see. But of course, that's a lot of clothing to be wearing out in the middle of a desert. The outcome. King of Pentacles, the old trump card. So, this is kind of there are a couple cards that we signify as Trump. In this case, it's Trump being the wealthy billionaire, quote unquote. Look at all the things of value I have, Muffy and Lovey, and I got all this money and I've got all this power. It could also be, you're looking at this dictator in El Salvador who's got all this money and all this power, and Trump's like, hey, he and we can get along just fine. So is he going to go to El Salvador? I'm not seeing anything here that says he's not, but I think he's certainly considering it.
I look at that real quick. To me, the heartbreak and betrayal. El Salvador would be a great place to go. I don't know if I can trust the coolest dictator. What am I offering? It's like, to me, what can happen? Trump, in the end, Trump is going to look for the best deal for Trump. That's what the King of Coins is telling me. Yeah. The Two of Cups is an agreement, but Hermes or Mercury was the messenger of the gods, and he's known for carrying a staff known as the Caduceus. Or Caduceus. The Caduceus is two snakes topped on a set of wings. And in this one, instead of having an orb, they put a lion's head on there, which I always associate with Trump. The Caduceus is from Greek root meaning herald's wand, and it was the badge of diplomatic ambassadors associated with commerce, eloquence, alchemy, thievery, and lying.
Yes, there you go.
So I think in some ways, diplomatically, they were checking things out to see if this is a good fit. I wouldn't trust that coolest dictator for a moment. Because to me, what I'm seeing there, and that King of Coins could be the dictator, is, sure, I'm going to have Trump come in. El Salvador does have an extradition treaty with the U.S., but both sides have to agree. So, Gary, if you were a dictator of El Salvador, and you had Trump in your possession, not wanting to leave, and the United States offered you some economic concessions,
some things of value,
trade, stuff like, okay, we will offer you this, or we'll stop doing that, or we'll look the other way when you do this. Would you trade Trump for those concessions if it was worth it to you?
I've got no loyalty at all to Trump.
Exactly. Where's the personal relationship and loyalty there? I don't see it. To me, he's ripe for betrayal if he does that.
Yeah. What's in it for Venezuela? You're
talking El Salvador, but what's in it for us? I don't know. Yeah, it's like getting the Kamala Harris Tim Walz domain name and waiting for them to come to you to say, hey, we want to buy that domain name off of you. We'll offer you $10,000. Well, I want 50. Well, we're not going to pay you 50. We'll give you 15. Okay, and then you agree on 25. And now you're $25,000 richer, and they get their domain name.
Yep.
That to me, this is just pure economics. This is a chit in his corner. There's very little political downside to El Salvador for having Trump as his guest.
Yes.
And, they're diplomats. They'll play the game. they'll negotiate. Let's negotiate.
Well, especially because Trump's sway is, if he's ending up in El Salvador, that means his sway has left.
Yeah.
And so, I'll gladly welcome you and your money. And then when you are no longer of use to me, I can certainly go for the final grift and send you back.
I don't think he wouldn't be there very long.
Yeah.
No more than like 2 years and probably less than a year.
Yeah.
Long enough to say, I protected you, Donald. But too much pressure from the U.S.
Perhaps Venezuela is a better fit for you.
Yeah, Maduro has kind of an iron fist on a pseudo democracy. Let's see what Venezuela has in store for Donald and his kin as a resting spot from troubles in the United States. Again, entertainment purposes only. Here comes the sun.
Da, da, da,
it's all right. That's the place to go. So, good Lord. The truth's been revealed. The plans have been made. It's the place to go to. I think Don Jr. scouted out El Salvador, and I think El Salvador came in a solid second of the two places to go to. And I think when he was on X and said it out loud, he told everybody his plans.
Yeah, didn't Don Jr. also recommend Vance as his running mate?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so so you could take that as value. You can see how much that opinion's worth.
Well, the other thing, just to throw it out there, is in Mary Trump's book, when Jared Kushner came back with meeting up with MBS, Don Jr. was all excited to find out what they talked about. So he'd go bounding over to talk with Jared about, what did he and MBS talk about. So Jr. and Jared like dictators too. So it's the dictator du jour.
Oh, look at those cards. Oh,
yeah, I know, right? In the past, you got the 10 of Cups. This is great. We have a love affair, me and Mr. President Maduro here. And there's your 8 of Coins that you had in your past. That's their present, the evaluation of the place to go to. Is this right for me? Do I get to keep my money? So on and so forth. Overarching energy is the King of Swords. Now, that's an interesting one. I don't know if this is the Jack Smith card per se, but it's going to be, he needs somebody ruling who rules as a dictator, but is on his side of things.
Yeah.
Ace of Swords is the lesson to be learned. Is the ruler, is Maduro the type of guy who's going to is a man of his word and is going to man up and keep his word on something like this? And I think he is. He's more, although the other guy may be the coolest dictator in El Salvador, he might be a little bit more flexible when it comes to the United States. Maduro has no problem telling the United States where to go and how to get there.
Yeah.
But as with anything, you have the 2 of Coins. This could work. This could work for a while if Trump goes there. It could become less appealing over time, either for Trump or for Maduro. There's a lot of turmoil for Maduro too. Things are not as politically stable because of the recent election, where he halted the election counting really early on in the election. And exit polling was showing him losing 70-30 or something along those lines. So, again, in the United States, if a president wins with 55% of the vote and the loser has 45%, they call it a landslide. We're talking 70-30. I don't think I've ever seen an election that was 70-30, except in like the most gerrymandered of districts or something like that. Deep red districts would have a 70-30. Well, San Francisco, I think Trump got like all of 10 or 20% of the vote in the city. So I guess I can see it.
So if you drop down, I wonder if the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords is kind of what motivates Trump to head off to Venezuela, because you've got Jack Smith and the Sword of Truth. Here are the crimes that you're committing, and we're going forward with these court cases, and you can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, okay, that's the overarching energy, and the lesson to be learned is that people are knowing the truth about you. And so that's it's kind of like the motivating factor for him to.
And it's probably both. It's probably layered. This is the justice. This is U.S. prosecutors and the justice system coming after Trump because now he's no longer protected. The king is dead along with the king. So he needs to go to a place where the king will protect him and has control of the law.
Yep.
Now, that does not mean that Saudi Arabia is out of the mix, but of the two countries here, I would say that Venezuela looks like they've got the much better opportunity to offer Trump long-term housing.
Yeah, I think.
What if they'll charge him out-of-state fees, non-resident fees for it too?
Look at the Kama Aina rate. So yeah, that Two of Pentacles. It's maybe Trump sort of balancing the political environment with the welcoming nature of the current president. The current president will certainly welcome him and treat him the way Trump wants to be treated, but how long is he going to be in power is kind of that balance. I wonder if that's the Two of Pentacles is. And
that's kind of the same thing with Russia.
Yeah. With Putin.
Putin. How long will Putin be in power for? Yeah. Kim Jong-un's going to be in power for a while until he croaks, if he hasn't already. And, MBS will be in power forever as well. So
do you mind if I do a 4-carder to see if Maduro is going to stay in power for how long? How long do you want to? 2 years?
Sure.
Okay. So will Maduro, if Trump runs off to Venezuela, will Maduro? Is it Maduro?
Oh, the masculine Maduro.
Maduro stay in power.
The JD Vances of Maduros.
Will Maduro stay in power for at least 2 years?
That was a reference to the reading we just did that went up on Wednesday. This will go up on Thursday.
Okay, so let's see.
Unless something happens, of course. Breaking news, this thing gets delayed. Blow up.
So get my rocks in order here.
Get your rocks in order, God dang it. Yeah.
So will Maduro stay in power for at least 2 years if Trump flees there? Okay, you got the foundation is the Hierophant. So this is your big government.
Yep.
Let's see. The main clarifier. Oh dear, 5 of Cups. Very powerful. Things are not looking good for the government. Got the King of Swords.
That was familiar.
Yep. You got the 10 of Swords.
Okay, so that 2 of Coins, what that's telling me is the situation as it looks in Venezuela now may not be as desirable come the end of the year this year to beginning of next year.
Yeah, it's certainly in the near future. So the foundation is the government. How's the government looking? It's not looking good.
No.
You got the King of Swords, which is kind of that. Once again, it's we call it the Jack Smith card, but it's the whole passing judgment. These are the crimes you committed. It's not an emotional card. This is very direct communication. This is what you did, and the 10 of Swords. This is coming to an end. This is we know what you did, and it's coming to an end, and you're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
And underneath it all is the people, the common everyday man. They're the ones. Their votes need to count. They did all the work to vote and have their opinions their votes be known, and you cheated them. And that's not going to be something we're going to stand for. So
I think that's Brett tells me you've nailed it. Basically the people are going to rise up either legally or through protest. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Maduro to step down because the cheating is obvious.
Yep.
And either the legal system's going to hold him to account or the people are going to hold him to account. But he's going to be one of those guys that flees to El Salvador to go hang out with the coolest dictator in Central America.
Harder on El Salvador to see if Trump will be there for if he'll have 2 years of fun or more.
Yeah, we can throw in that as well. To me, we're gonna have to read on this closer to November because we're gonna have to watch how the energy changes. No, I'm just gonna do a quick four-carder.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
4 coins. Okay, here we go. And here's your 2 of coins underneath here with Venezuela. There's the Sun card, the Queen of Swords. There is still definitely the possibility that he goes to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Trying to hold on tight to his freedom, his money, his ability to move. The truth card coming out here. I think what happens is his toss-up right now is between Saudi Arabia and Venezuela.
Yeah.
But if things deteriorate, right now I think he wants to go to Venezuela. This is his backup plan. But if things deteriorate in Venezuela, he's going to make the call. I'm going to Saudi Arabia. I can't. My freedom is really, really dependent on the stability of the leader of the government. I think he would rather go to Venezuela, but it just may not be the viable choice. Maybe he can't get there. Maybe he can get to Saudi Arabia, but he can't get to Venezuela. So it's the safer call.
Yeah, and that would also the Page of Wands, with the pyramids in the background.
Yeah.
It tends to make a lot of sense. Because that was that the lesson to be learned on that?
I forget. It was on your reading.
Yeah, I forget.
It was your it was either lesson to be learned or it was a lesson to be learned.
I think it was lesson to be learned.
Yeah,
lesson to be learned is don't worry about Venezuela or El Salvador. You need to stick with the one that got you there.
Yeah, and again, it's easy. Trump might be in a position where he can justify a business trip to Saudi Arabia to talk about the LIV golf tournaments because he's involved with that, or some business deal or something like that. He can make that excuse because he has a business relationship there. He doesn't have that in El Salvador. He doesn't have that in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So he might be able to, it's like literally he has to make the best play to get out of the country. And then once out of the country, then he doesn't have to come back.
Yeah.
Assuming he can get that far. Now, again, for the people screaming, he has to have a passport to do that. And they took his passport away. And it's like, you're right. For you and me and Gary, we all have to have passports to get into Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or El Salvador. Trump doesn't. Especially not if he's not planning on coming back. And you got to know that MBS and Maduro and Ukulele over in El Salvador, they know that if he's coming to stay. Yep. They're not going to care that he doesn't have a passport. Trump breaks the rules all the time. Why would this one apply to him?
Yeah.
It just,
and he's got a 757, so it's not like he's flying commercial.
Right. Exactly. Or, I think you just board a flight, a Saudi Arabia diplomatic plane and fly over that way. You can't stop it. You can try to prevent it from taking off, but once it's in the air, that's Saudi Arabia territory. You can shoot it down over the Gulf of Mexico? I don't think so.
Yeah, and then people are going to ask, well, what about his Secret Service detail when they stop him? And I don't think actually they would. It's their job isn't to prevent him from leaving. Their job is to prevent him from getting killed. Exactly.
The Secret Service's job, they're not probation officers. Their job isn't to prevent him from leaving the country. Their job is to prevent harm from coming to him, to protect him. And if he flies to Saudi Arabia, their job is to protect him. Now, they may get dismissed and isolated from Trump at some point and then sent back home.
Yep.
You're not needed anymore. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Will they go without a fight? Maybe, maybe not. You have to get out of the rational thinking of what applies to you and me because it doesn't work in this case.
We are off the trail. We are going down a path that's never been blazed before.
Right. Now, does Trump normally need a passport to go to places? Yeah, that's why he has like his diplomatic passport. It's following the thing. But again, if you're going for I'm drawing blank on the word asylum. If you're looking for asylum, they don't care if you got a passport or not. They know who you are.
Yeah.
Check the diaper. You do a DNA check on the diaper. You don't know who it is. Okay, I've ranted enough. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting our channel. We do appreciate it.
Yeah,
all right.
Leave a comment. I read through all of them.
We've already done this part. We did it up front. We don't need to do it now.
Okay, bye, folks.
All right, take care.